Yo, what's going on, guys? What's Melon back again with the team that got me to veteran. So I have Claydol on the lead. I've got Shadow Drapion as my safe swap, and then I have Galarian Wheezing in the back. And so it's a pretty standard ABB style team where basically Shadow Drapion, I swap it in to try to bait out any potential Mud Slappers so that I don't have to deal with them on Galarian Wheezing. And Shadow Drapion's really nice as a safe swap because even if they do swap in a Mud Slapper, Aqua Tail does quite a bit to most Mud Slappers, and if it's something like a Claydol, you can actually get off a Crunch, which does huge damage to Claydol. And so, you know, it's not one of my typical teams where I have something a little spicy in there. I think all three of these Pokemon are pretty meta relevant, but I was trying to make more Pekko work in the back. I tried a number of different leads, and then Shadow Drapion and more Pekko in the back. I just don't think that now that people are actually taking this a bit more seriously, Open Great League a bit more seriously, there just aren't many targets for more Pekka. I see way more Claydol, for example, which causes big problems for more Pekko. The person I'm playing right now is using a pretty spicy Shadow Cacturn in the back, although I will say Shadow Cacturn is not the greatest Pokemon, and they end up having to call a bait here, and I don't bait. There's no reason for me to, so I get the win there. That actually is what I believe secured me veteran. So on the lead, you'll see I have Malamar, or I'm playing against Malamar, which is a bad lead for Claydol, but you do resist the Scythe Wave, which is nice, so I try to catch on Shadow Drapion, and I get the catch, which is pretty huge. If you miss that catch, it can be a bit troubling, so that's not really a big deal. And then they swap in Clodsire, and this is exactly what I want, because I really don't want to deal with Clodsire on my Galarian Wheezing. Even though Clodsire does beat Shadow Drapion, Aqua Tails really chunk it nicely, and it's really nice because it puts it into decent farm down range for my Claydol. I think I still will get Earthquaked, but I'll have a lot of energy going out of it, and Claydol is very tanky, so you can take the Earthquake no problem. So they're going to throw something off. I'm pretty happy, you know, I've got quite a bit of energy now, and I'll certainly have a bit more than a move. I see a Claydol, and I run Ice Beam for this exact matchup. That does half the health, and then I can just swap in my Galarian Wheezing, which, you know, here, do I shield, do I not? It's a non-Shadow Claydol, and Bullet Seed really isn't threatening, so what I do is I just farm up to essentially double Sludge, and this means that I'm going to be able to get off double Sludge. They shield the first. I'm going to throw the second Sludge, and I don't know if it's going to KO because I am a bit, I'm debuffed, so it doesn't KO, but I'm in good shape, and I'm going to let this go because I know that my Claydol can basically 1v3 the remaining teams. Malamar has no fast move pressure against Claydol, especially not when it's debuffed, and then I can just farm down Claydol and Clodsire no problem. So Claydol is really strong. When I started playing this season, I thought that Claydol was bad. Like I was like, why would you ever use Claydol instead of Shadow Kanto Marowak? And I realized it's because it's just so much tankier. It can tank moves no problem, and being able to debuff on a tanky mon with fast move pressure is just crazy. Claydol is very nice. So you can see here, I'm going to claim the reward, and then I have some additional battles once I'm already passed into veteran, and you'll get to see me play against better and better players. The reason I originally switched away from having Shadow Drapion more Pekko backline is because, one, there weren't targets, which I've already talked about, but two, I don't know what it is, but I've seen like Mud Slap double Charm or Charm double Mud Slap so much this season. Like, you know, I didn't see it in the first week of the season, thank God. Like, people were actually trying out the new mons, but I don't know why all of a sudden people are just, you know, unleashed, and now everybody is using the most frustrating Pokemon to deal with of all time. And so this team, you know, Charm Double Slap is a bit of a problem. I have beaten a couple of them. It really depends on whether they are late to swap into Shadow Drapion, because if you can, one, hit their Shadow Kanto Marowak with an Aqua Tail and grab a shield with your Shadow Drapion, you can actually win that matchup. So you'll see here, I'm in a pretty bad situation. Neither of my backline want to see Diggersby. But their Charge Bug absolutely did not want to see Claydol. But Charge Bug is actually not too bad in this situation. They shield my first crunch. I'm not gonna shield their move there. I do throw on bad timing because I was hoping that they would CMP tie because it seemed like they lagged a turn. They've got Malamar in the back, and this is actually pretty bad because Malamar is not good into Galarian Weezing unless they have shields. Because if they have shields, the Psy Waves just add up a ton. If they don't have shields, then you're actually in a pretty good shape because neither of their fast moves do neither of their charge moves do any damage. But you can see here, I am in a bit of trouble because they have, basically farmed me all the way down, and I know that there's not a whole lot I can do here. So this is going to be a loss for sure. They have a move on Charge-a-Bug, and that's going to be GG. They go for a combo play. Well played to my opponent there. Yeah, I'll just swap in my Claydol, and I get farmed down with Volt Switch, which is not something you see very frequently. All right. Into this next match, I think this is the second to last battle. Talonflame, I've been seeing a ton of Talonflame today for whatever reason. It's not too bad because you can swap your Shadow Drapion and they're basically forced to shield. So, or, you'll reach before they can do anything. See, here, because I swapped into a Talonflame, I was able to get 2 Aqua Tails, and so you can see that I get the shield and I do a ton of damage to it, so I get it into farm down range, and this is very, very nice. I'm up a shield, and I'm gonna have essentially a Rock Tomb for their Talonflame, assuming that they swap that back in. So I'm really happy right now. I'm gonna just shield up the Bone Club because the last thing I want to do is them, to ramp up with a Flame Charge and be able to just knock out my Claydol. So it is what it is. I get off this Rock Tomb. They have to shield that up because it will just one-shot, and I know I'm in good shape because it's very, very hard to catch on a Talonflame. So they have to essentially throw a fast move, and I'm going to be able to knock them out with a Rock Tomb, which is quite nice. And their last Pokemon is Morpeko, which is very, very nice because Electric Aura Wheel does absolutely nothing to... Well, Electric Aura Wheel does nothing to Claydol, although they should have thrown it because I think it would have knocked me out. And then Dark Aura Wheel wouldn't knock out my Galarian Weezing, so I would have won that regardless. Terrible lead here. You can see it's a Dugong. I'm going to safe swap my Shadow Drapion. You can throw a Crunch on good timing if you swap it in, which is one of the reasons that Shadow Drapion is just such a busted Pokemon. And I get the defense drop, which is very, very appreciated. I'm just going to let this go because it's a Dugong. It's a one-move Pokemon. They always Icy Wind, and that's just, it is what it is. I don't really mind. So I'm going to throw this Crunch immediately, not try to get too fancy, but I will actually make another Aqua Tail. And if you didn't know, Dugongs get super, super nervous when they're about to lose all their energy. And so they shield. They were not counting properly. I'm up 2 shields, which is fine. I'm just going to, I think, double shield my Claydol because I'll be able to exit with a move on Claydol, and Claydol with a move is in very, very good shape, and it would be even shields anyways, so it is what it is. I exit with a move, and they go into Wigglytuff, which, my Galarian Weezing will be able to take care of that, no problem. So I swap it in immediately, and I was double debuffed, so I needed to swap out. Anyways, Shadow Drapion's not a great response to Galarian Weezing. My goal here is to just chip it away. Actually, that's a regular Drapion, so I don't know. But I win CMP, and I know they can't knock me out in 2 Aqua Tails, so I'm in pretty good shape. What I'm going to do is just farm up and then combo play them to knock them out such that I have a Sludge essentially waiting to go for their Wigglytuff, and so that's exactly what I do. I think I don't exactly have a Sludge, which is a little bit scary, but I know that my Claydol's healthy enough and I have enough residual energy that I'm going to be able to essentially force them to throw before they make it to 2 moves, and that's going to guarantee the win because I can just go in with Galarian Weezing. Actually, this isn't my last game. I have one more after this. I was not expecting that. So I've got the move. Sludge is just going to knock them out, and this is one of the reasons I picked Galarian Weezing, is because, man, the number of just Wigglytuff abusers right now is at an all-time high. It's crazy out there. So that's a little bit frustrating to deal with that Pokemon so frequently. Here we are. We've got Claydol into Shadow Drapion. Very, very good matchup for any Mud Slapper, but I know they're going to swap, so I instantly go into my Drapion. With an ABB style, it's not too risky to just immediately swap, and I'm glad I did, because this gives me identical pacing to this Furret, which is very, very nice. So they're going to go for a Swift, and I know that I can farm them down to a range where Aqua Tail knocks out, I win CMP, and so I just throw the Aqua Tail, and that gives me one residual Poison Sting, which is quite huge on my good friend Shadow Drapion, but it ends up being an Azumarill. I say but, this is actually like really, really nice, because my Galarian Weezing will manhandle the Azumarill. I don't get off another move, but it doesn't really matter. They're gonna have to throw some energy here, but at this point I know I'm in really good shape because I have alignment and my Galarian Weezing does really well. Here I don't know what happened, but well, actually I know what happened. They caught, which was a nice play, but that was really stupid of me to throw there, but it is what it is. I don't shield this because I know I have 2 shields. They have to throw Aqua Tails in order to get stuff off, so I'm in good shape. You know, at this point, even if they had gotten off a crunch, they wouldn't have been able to farm me down, and that just puts me in good shape. I don't know why this Azumarill threw on CMP. Like, you're not going to win that, buddy. So it is what it is. They end up shielding the Rock Tomb anyways, so, you know, at this point it's more than over, and that's going to lead me to, or them to, forfeit. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. As always, make sure to drop a like, ask me any questions in the comments. It's been your boy Watomormelon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.